bring in Booger McFarland, the mothership NFL college football analyst. You got a favorite Christmas song?
Actually, it was a song that you guys were playing this Christmas. I'm surprised you didn't know that song also, by the way, DP.
I tune out Christmas music.
Why is that?
I don't know what it is. It starts at Thanksgiving and it starts too soon, and then I'm just done with it. That's all.
Well, as I sit there and stare at you, your studio is definitely in the holiday spirit. You got Christmas trees and all that stuff going on. So
That's
you at
forced upon
least,
me. That's forced upon me.
right, you at least are exuding the appearance of being a great Christmas guy.
Yeah. It's called being phony. So Booger appears on Monday Night Countdown, NFL Prime Time each week here. Give me the downside to name, image, and likeness.
It's not regulated, and so basically what that means is you're getting a play for pay system. I think name, image, and likeness was intended to put money in the player's pocket because for years, the good old boy system known as NCAA has made a ton of money off college athletes, namely football players. And so when they came up with name, image, and likeness, they were like, okay, how can we allow the college athlete, who is technically an amateur athlete, to capitalize on what the NCAA has been capitalizing on for years? Here's the only problem with that, DP. There are no regulations. So what's legal in Texas may not be legal in Ohio. What's legal in Louisiana may not be legal in Alabama as far as how it's governed. And so you get these big boosters that come up with these collectives, which basically is a group of boosters who come together who say, we have a ton of money and we want to give it to players so they can come to our university and we can have the best football team or the best baseball team or basketball or whatever. And so now when you are the top quarterback, quarterback X, now the collective from school X can say, hey, we want you to come to our university and we will pay you whatever the number is, $5, $6, $7, $8, $9 million. And so once you sign, now we can come up with a system where we can pay you this money, and whether you sign autographs or whether you go work at the luggage store or whatever you do, but it's turned into a play for pay system, and that's not what it was intended to. But the only problem is you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube.
Yeah.
And so we have a system now where these college athletes, DP, are making more money than some professional athletes. And I don't think that's what the system was intended for.
Well, Bryce Young was making more than Jalen Hurts, and Bryce was still in college, and Jalen Hurts is an MVP candidate. It's kind of crazy. But I always go back to, Kentucky basketball players talked about getting $100 handshakes. Booster, come up, just give you some. When you were at LSU, what kind of benefits could you get? Statute of limitations is over, so you can talk about it.
Right. Yeah. Well, was I taken care of handsomely? Sure. Nothing crazy. And I'm not talking about, well, man, they gave Booger $100,000. Yeah, there were a bunch of free meals. There were a couple of $200-$300 handshakes. My mother never had to worry about paying for hotel rooms or paying for meals or food or anything like that. And then in the summertime, I got a legit job. I mean, I was making 10, 15, 20 bucks an hour. I was able to work, 6 or 7 weeks during the summer. I had a Pell Grant. I had this thing called the Needy Fund. And so, DP, I would guess that if I totaled the money I could make in one calendar year at LSU, if you count my Pell Grant, the money I made this summer, I probably made, 15 grand.
Yeah.
Here's the difference now. These guys are making 5, 6, 7 figures when it comes to just one calendar year. And some of them don't even have to work a summer job like I did. So the money is great. It's handsome. And don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to sound like you, which is the old guy on the lawn. I'm happy for these guys that they're able to get some money. I'm
fine with
happy.
it too, Booger. If you get it, great. Just let's regulate it, just so we know what's going on. There's no poaching. There's no tampering. Those kind of things. Because I brought this up hypothetically at Drake May a couple of weeks ago. I said, what if he just says, hey, I'm open for business here. I'm going to put myself on eBay. What do you want to give me? He got offered 2 different deals for $5 million to transfer, reportedly. And I was just doing a hypothetical. If I'm Ohio State or Alabama, I'm losing my quarterback to the
Yeah.
NFL. What's $10 million to bring in Drake May? Drake May announced he was staying at North Carolina, and he couldn't go to the NFL, so he had to announce, hey, I'm staying, and these rumors, this is where I'm going to be, and the story is over here. This is going to happen with these quarterbacks, or, probably only quarterbacks. Somebody's going to go, hey, what do you want to pay me? And somebody's going to pony up $10 million to bring in a quarterback.
So let me ask you this, DP. If the system doesn't get regulated, are you okay with it if it turns into that?
I don't want it to be where it's tampering and poaching. If you can somehow have a lifeguard on duty, because it's not the NCAA, I want to know, where are we headed with this? You want to pay the players, or the players want to get paid? I have no problem with that whatsoever. But I think we got to decide. It's almost like Major League Baseball. There almost feels like there needs to be the teams that spend over $200 million and then the other teams. And college football, it's the schools that make this kind of money or spend this kind of money, and then the other ones there. We almost need to have some kind of separation there.
Yeah, that would seem to be a fair system, and we all know life's not fair. So I don't think we're ever going to get that system. But I do understand your point. It would even the playing field. But understand this. We've never really been concerned about the playing field being even. Like certain colleges, Georgia, Ohio State, USC, have always been able to spend more on recruiting than anyone else. It doesn't mean you're going to win. It gives you an advantage, but it doesn't mean you're going to win the title every year.
I don't know where we're headed. I'm just surprised that the so-called educators didn't see this happening, where, a booster is going to go, I'll give you $20 million, go and play with it. So let's see what we can bring in. Give me a couple offensive linemen and a good defensive lineman. And, I think that's what's going to be happening more and more. We're talking to Booger McFarland. I didn't mean to get off on that tangent, but more surprising, Geno Smith is a Pro Bowl quarterback, or Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady aren't?
Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady aren't. Like, we've always seen the talent with Geno Smith. I think his quote that was famous, that they wrote him off, but he didn't write back. He's always believed in his talent. He's always been a great thrower of the football. He just needed a system and somebody to believe in him. And Pete Carroll, whether it was by luck or by choice, believed in him. Because let's not forget, Pete Carroll traded for Drew Lock, and a lot of people thought Drew Lock was going to be the starter. But when you get to Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers, I think Tom Brady is the most surprising, DP, because he led the NFL in passing last year. He was phenomenal, had that great comeback against the Rams in the divisional playoff round. And he seemingly fell off a cliff. Like, he's been bad this year, DP.
Yeah.
I mean, he has been bad just about every Sunday. And we continue to try to make excuses for him, or we continue to wait for the GOAT to show up, because he is the greatest quarterback of all time. I haven't seen it. And it doesn't matter to me about the issues he's had off the field. Like, everybody has things that they go through in life. What matters is when you show up, you're a professional, you do your job. I don't want to hear about, well, he was going through a lot. Who cares? We all go through a lot. As far as Aaron Rodgers is concerned, you knew it was going to be a transition early on, because he was breaking in new receivers, and Bakhtiari, the left tackle, was coming off an injury. So I kind of expected him to be a little slower kind of getting into this season. But I am still surprised that both he and Tom, with Tom being the biggest surprise, aren't in the Pro Bowl, because we expect so much from him.
We have these standalone games. You have that game tonight with the Jets and the Jags. And then everybody's going to have an opinion on a game that nobody would have an opinion on if it was played Sunday at 1 o'clock. But everybody's going to have a referendum on Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson. How do you think this plays out tonight between these two?
I think this is going to be a contrasting style. The Jets at their core are a defensive-led football team that wants to be physical, but they have a quarterback they drafted number 2 overall, so they kind of have to break him in a little bit, and he's been highly scrutinized. I myself have scrutinized him a lot. When you look at Jacksonville, they have a quarterback that's ascending. Trevor Lawrence has made great strides this year as far as being the golden child that we thought he was going to be when he came out of Clemson. So you have two teams that want to play a physical brand of football. One has their quarterback going up in Trevor Lawrence. The other, I don't really know what Zach Wilson is, but I do know he was drafted number 2 overall, and the expectations are right there with Trevor Lawrence. And you're right. We're going to judge both of these guys, namely the quarterbacks tonight, more than we are going to judge the teams. And I think if you're Zach Wilson, the game tonight in a standalone game, as the holidays are here, so more people are going to be sitting at home with eggnog. I know you won't because you don't like Christmas, but more people are going to be sitting around with eggnog and a glass of wine saying, you know what? Let me see what this guy, Zach Wilson, is about. So tonight is an important game for him. I do think he's got to show up and play well. I think the Jets are a better football team, a more talented team, but it doesn't mean that they're going to win tonight.
I was watching a Monday Night Countdown, as I always do, and you talked about staying warm, and you'd occasionally have some whiskey.
Yeah. Listen, DP,
How much,
I'm a Southern boy.
How much whiskey would you have prior to a game to stay warm?
Well, I'm not talking about enough whiskey to make you feel like that you're invincible. I'm just talking about enough whiskey to give you a little warmth going down your throat. And just a thimbleful, a little sipful, because what it does, I'm not a drinker, okay? I've never been drunk one day in my life. As I've gotten older, I've learned to change my palate, and I drink the occasional cab, and you and I can hang out and sip on a little Camus every now and then, which I'm looking forward to, by the way. But I'm only talking about a thimbleful, enough to warm the throat, burn your throat almost, and kind of give you a little tingling sensation. That's kind of what I did.
How many players would do that?
There were 3 or 4. I'm not going to name those players. I'll just incriminate myself. But there was a game in Green Bay where the wind chill was minus 15. The actual temperature was 0. And the only way there were 2 ways I was able to play in that game. One, I had a full body onesie on that I cut the toes out of. And 2, I had 2 shots of whiskey, one pregame and then one after halftime.
How was that? How'd you guys play?
We actually won. Had one of my better games. I think overall, Boog's not a fan of cold weather, DP. Not a fan whatsoever. Like, there are a lot of things in life I'd rather do than be outside in the cold weather. So if you watch the broadcast of the night and people say, man, you look miserable, it's because I was miserable.
Hey, it's great to talk to you as always. Merry Christmas to you, and we'll talk to you in the new year.
DP, have a great one. Have a great Christmas.
Yeah.
Celebrate it to the fullest.
Yeah, absolutely. As only I can. That's Booger McFarland of the Mothership. We'll take a break. Our play of the day is coming up next.